So I got this in the mail the other day. Because of the lighting, you can't see what it says, but I'll read it to you. It's from the American Red Cross, and it says, "The American Red Cross presents this certificate to Sean Ballou for being an active blood donor and helping the smallest patients overcome the biggest battles. Thank you for your 5 blood donations in 2018. I didn't realize that I donated blood 5 times in 2018. So here's what happened. I have been wondering what my blood type is for a long time, and I finally remembered to ask my doctor once, and he said that he couldn't tell me. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, the head of, whatever, the head of the hospital or whatever, like, he doesn't want us to tell people. And I'm like, that's dumb. But if you donate blood, then they will tell you. So one day in the building that I work in, they were doing blood donations. This was through like UCLA or something. And so I was like, all right, I'll donate my blood here. And then I found out what my blood type was, and it's O negative, which is the universal donor. So from that point on, I was like, I could have like saved so many lives because I have the universal donor blood type, the one that they always want. And if I had just known that, I would have been donating blood all along. So now, whenever I can, I do. And apparently that was 5 times last year. So, yeah. We'll see if we can do it more this year. Anyway, roll the thing. Hey guys, Sean here. So this week I wanted to talk about dreams, and I know what you're saying. Didn't you talk about dreams like 2 months ago when you were talking about having superpowers and dreams? Well, not that type of dreams. This is more the dreams of what you want to be in life. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Looking at my life now and the foreseeable future of my life, I have essentially completely given up on all of my dreams that I had throughout my life. And I was greatly reminded of that when I received an envelope from my mom earlier this week. And one of the things that was in the envelope was this little yellow ticket here. Now, what is this little yellow ticket? Well, this says Creek's Funniest People, presented by Decca, January 5th, 1995. Fine Arts Theater, 7 p.m. Ticket number 549. So what is the significance of this? Well, when I was a kid, pretty much from the age of like 5 maybe, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would always say a comedian. That was kind of always what I wanted to be. So cut to January 5th, 1995. I was 15 years old. I was a freshman in high school. And DECA was one of the groups in high school. I don't know exactly what it stands for. But they were putting on a show, a comedy show. And there were posters up, and it was basically like, hey, do you want to do something funny? Come and audition. And so I was like, okay. I guess I could try that. And so, on January 5th, 1995, I performed stand-up comedy for the very first time in front of like 714, I believe is how many the theater at our school held. And I was a freshman, and it was exhilarating. It went really, really well. I was complimented on it pretty much the rest of my freshman year, which, well, since this was January, that's not too much more. That would have been February, March, April, May, so 4 more months, but still, It was the first time I ever performed stand-up comedy, and it wouldn't be the last. Cut to the year 2000, and on my 21st birthday, I went to the world-famous Denver Comedy Works, which is in downtown Denver. It's one of the most famous comedy clubs in the United States, one of the most popular comedy clubs among comedians in the United States. And I saw Bobby Slayton, because he was the one who was performing there on my birthday. My brother and I ended up going to the Comedy Works just multiple times over the next year and a half. And I quickly found out that there was a open mic night at the Comedy Works. And so I did the prerequisite to try and get on it. You essentially had to call this number every single week, and then later in the week call back, and there would be a list of names that were going to be performing. And if you weren't on it, well, call again next week. And that was pretty much it. And if your name was on it, show up and perform, and then call the next week, and your name might not be on it. And endless cycle. So I did that for about 2 months, and then finally one week my name was on the list. And so on Halloween night of 2000, I performed stand-up comedy in an actual comedy club for the first time. And over the course of the next, say, year and a half, I continued to do so maybe 4 or 5, possibly 6 more times. So in case you've been ever wondering why my chair is so beat up, this is the reason why. As you can see right here, this is why. Because yeah, that happens every now and then. So where was I? Yeah, okay. So over the next year and a half, I performed multiple times at the Comedy Works. Cut to February of 2002, and that is when the worst day of my life occurred, when my brother passed away, and we had been making lots of plans. We were gonna write a movie together, because he had gone to art school to learn video production, and the movie was gonna pretty much revolve around 2 brothers, one of which was a stand-up comedian, and we were gonna play both of the parts in it. And yeah, so I did do stand-up, I think, 1 more time after that, but it felt different, and I never went back. So cut to, I believe, 2004, and I ended up going to a broadcasting trade school in Colorado. And one of the teachers there was a producer, and he was kind of a movie producer. Well, I mean, I don't know that he ever really did produce any movies. He said he was a movie producer, and it was good enough to get him to be a teacher at this trade school, so whatever. And I ended up taking some acting lessons from him because I had told him about how we were going to write a movie and we were going to act in it and all of that stuff. And so then I got the acting bug, essentially. So then in 2006, my life really didn't seem to be going anywhere that I liked necessarily, and I ended up getting kind of an offer to move in with my best friend in California. So I was like, well, California is where all the movies are made, and that's where all the acting people go, so I will do that. So in 2006, moved out to California to pursue acting. And so that's what I did for about the first year that I lived in California, is that I worked as an extra in TV and movies. And if you're curious about all that, I made a, I think, 3-part series about it, which you can click on the card right here to see the playlist for it. But eventually that started to dry up, and it ended up, I was working only like once a month maybe, and so I needed to find a more stable job. And that's when I found an ad that was like, hey, you can get paid to play video games. And I'm like, well, I basically play video games when I'm not working, so I should probably do that. And that's pretty much been the last 10.5 years of my life. So while I am glad that I have had pretty much stable work for at least the last 6 years, and then the previous years before that, this essentially did kill any dreams that I had. And this was just kind of a big reminder of that fact. I know that when my mom sent me this, she had all the best intentions, and she wasn't expecting it to give me essentially an existential crisis, but it gave me a bit of an existential crisis. But yeah, that's basically the reason why I started doing this, because I had the 2 dreams that were essentially killed in some way, and there was still the part of me that was like, I need some sort of creative outlet. And so that's why I started doing this. But this is just kind of reminding me that I wanted more. If I had never stopped, who knows where I would be right now. I mean, this was 24 years ago. Could you imagine someone who's been doing comedy for 24 years, what they would be at this point? Probably doesn't help too much that I'm on a rocket sled to 40 right now. So a lot of this has really just amplified recently. So I think I need to do something. And I don't know what yet, but definitely something. I don't know that I could potentially try doing stand-up again, because I live in Southern California, and while it is probably one of the 2 meccas of stand-up comedy, the other being New York City, it's not easy to start in Southern California because of how many wannabe comedians there are in Southern California. To be fair, there is a Laugh Factory less than a mile from my apartment, and they probably have an open mic night that I could probably sign up for. There's plenty of improv classes that I could sign up for that would help tremendously, not just in comedy ways, but just in general life ways. And I could probably write my own movie and make it using all the stuff that I have. But for some reason, I just don't have the drive anymore to do these things. I don't have the drive anymore to do much of anything. And I don't know what killed that. But you know what? If I do end up taking my hairdresser's advice that I mentioned a few weeks ago and end up making a vision board, I can guarantee you that the very first thing that I put on it is going to be this. So let me know in the comments down below, did you have dreams of what you wanted to be when you were a kid, and how did that work out for you? And do you regret if you gave up on those dreams, or did you follow them and you succeeded in them? Just anything about dreams that you had as a kid, how it's going, how dreams that you have now, how are those going? Just anything you want to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more of the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to help support the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit up my Patreon. Link is in the description. And with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.